Hello, everyone, and welcome to Geeky Geezers. I am your host, Agent Boomer. This is my co-host, PaPa Pacelli. That's
Hello.
well, that was my NPR intro.
Sorry. I was trying to balance you out because you sounded all so nice and classy. I was going to be like, the Jerry Lewis.
Well, no, I think the joke was there was a funny in one of the old Grand Theft Auto games. Like you go to either the conservative channel, and I guess the liberal channel was supposed to be NPR. And the thing that made NPR funny was that it was just so boring to listen to. It was like sleep.
I had in this morning's stream on Matthew Flynn, I was struggling. You know how because I'm an old fart too, and I was trying to think of the character of Pete Ross from Superman, and I was going Ross, what's his name? That Ross, and Netter said, "Well, it's not Bob Ross." I'm like, yes, we're going to take this nice little Superman here. And we're going to put him up in the sky because that's where he lives and that's where he belongs.
That would have been great, like in the Chris Reeve Superman movie. Like if you see like a montage of Superman getting popular with the media or with the people, and then you see Bob Ross saying, "Here's a little Superman by this tree." That would have been funny, and he gets started in the movie. That would have been funny. That should have been a scene, but anyway. I kind of like how they did in the Spider-Man movies where they were talking to the people on the street what they thought of Spider-Man and all that. But let me say hi to everyone in the house. We got a few people in here tonight. Hopefully more show up, but let's see. We got Auditor Dread, evening Geeky Users in chat. Maybe it should be Geeky Gentlemen. You guys aren't that old. Heck, Agent Boomer isn't even a boomer. Ha. The term Agent Boomer, I keep trying to explain where this came from. This came from the meme known as the 30-year-old boomer, okay? Like these days when you hit 30, all the young kids are calling you a boomer. And like one of the trademarks underneath it was Quake is a good game. And I thought about it for a second. You know what? Quake is a good game. Okay.
Right.
I miss Quake. I miss Quake 2. I miss the old PC shooters, which are making a comeback. Boomer shooters are becoming a thing again. They call them boomer shooters now. What do you think of that? But actually, that's funny. That's appropriate. Okay. But it's basically new games using the old engines for first-person shooters. They're making them now.
Yeah.
And it's kind of neat. But
no, it's true. I mean, relatively speaking, we're the older generation, which is sometimes really hard for me to deal with, but it absolutely is true. I'll find myself saying stuff, and sometimes the younger people are like, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Do you know what's hard being part of the older generation is remembering how good things were, even in times that you thought weren't that great.
True. You're absolutely right.
Like I remember thinking back, I posted in your Fan Strike Back page, I posted remember the Taco Bell Star Wars campaign when Phantom Menace came out? And you had the Colonel, and he had the lightsaber, and then you had the pizza delivery girl with the blaster. And then you just had the Taco Bell dog, which, of course, they got rid of later on because, he was problematic, right?
Right.
Who was funny. I'm sorry. The Taco Bell dog was funny. Anyway, and, they're fighting droids and whatnot, and it's just ridiculous. And I don't know why I even posted in that group, but I'm like, it's Star Wars related.
That is that is awesome stuff. It's nice to remember when we still had enjoyment and optimism for things like that,
when we still had a sense of humor too. I mean, it's like that's the whole point. This is ridiculous. That's the point.
Also, you mentioned the little Chihuahua dog, and it's like I'm really getting sick and tired of these people that get all offended on other people's behalf.
Oh yeah,
I was just watching a Tim Pool segment where he was talking about the vast majority of Hispanic Americans have zero problem with Speedy Gonzalez.
Yeah.
We were talking about that last week. It's like, in fact, they like him. To them, they're like, hey, this is our representation. Mind your own damn business.
Do the French have a problem with Pepe Le Pew, though?
Haven't heard that they have.
They probably think he's not trying hard enough with that woman. No, I'm sorry. I'm kidding. I'm ready. All right. So let's see who else we got here. Netter's Network.
Well, isn't that where we got cuties from? We came from France.
Yeah. Well, that's
just saying.
Never mind. Let's not go there. How you doing? Hi, Nanette. Okay. Anyway, I think you said hi, hun. Okay. Is that what it sounds like? Hi, hun.
Yeah. Hi, hun. Why? How do you want to pronounce it? Hi, hon.
Hi. Oh no. She says hi, sweetie, in the chat. That's why I'm thrown
sweetie.
Off. Okay.
Yeah, it depends on who she's talking to. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Horizon Talker. Hello, the chat.
Hello, the chat.
And Auditor Dread, I think I already mentioned you. And let me go down the list. We're going to be playing it off the cuff tonight, okay? Troy was a little under the weather, so
yeah.
If it doesn't flow like it usually does with the next topic, you'll excuse us. Hopefully we'll get to Bronze RoboCop, though. That's the highlight of the evening.
I don't know. I personally think off the cuff is a lot more fun. That's just my opinion. It's my style.
Yeah, well, we're supposed to be like NPR. Okay, I'm kidding. Okay. Daniel Heron, welcome. There's a YouTuber I follow who has mental health issues. He posted a video today, not doing well. People could please say a prayer for those dealing with mental health issues. Thank you. Yeah, sure, certainly. Let's see here. Big Al, have a great stream. Okay. And let me go down to newer comments. And Melissa Harrison Sons, Trooper Fan 2525. Great to see you. It's cool hearing you on Troy's stream the other night. With that cool Noir rewatch. I like that.
Yep.
I'm telling you, would that Dane be worth going to the electric chair for? That's what you have to ask. Okay. That's the joke. Because why are you going to do that?
Well, go to the electric chair. No, but he ended up dead anyway. So I mean.
I know. Well, I know. It's a dame to kill for, a dame to die for, or maybe just, take up bowling. Actually,
she might be worth killing for. She's not worth dying for. Let's
gotcha. Okay. But anyway, so you didn't ask me what I'm sipping on.
What are you sipping on?
I got myself another all-natural Snapple. I'm sure it's all natural. I take the word for it. Watermelon lemonade. Okay, which is actually kind of weird. I am not happy with Snapple.
Really?
I was in the store the other day. I looked at the Snapple apple, and I'm like, "Where's the Snapple apple?" They changed the bottles. Now they're in plastic bottles made up of like 80% recycled plastic.
I am really bothered by plastic these days. I'm not one of those ones that's all like, oh, I got to be all natural, and I'm so concerned about chemicals and this and that. But there definitely is a flavor difference. Like if you have a cola from a glass bottle and you have a cola from a plastic bottle, you can totally taste the difference.
Yeah, that's why I usually prefer cans. Actually, even plastic is just no. I mean, sometimes you got to deal with it, but if I can avoid plastic, I do. And I'm a little annoyed because Snapple were one of the last holdouts, and now they're I think they're going to go down the plastic road unless it's just Snapple apple that's going to be plastic. I was
at the liquor store the other day, and because I got to restock for my Friday night streams, and I was looking, and the gin that's on the bottom shelf that's like the plastic bottles that is like supposed to be the cheap stuff that I used to get. When I was in college and whatnot, because, broke. I'm looking at it and I'm like, it's like a $3 difference. I'm like, I might as well just get the good stuff in the glass bottle. It's not the good stuff. It's not like I'm saving that much money. It's totally not worth it.
Yeah.
So I'll spend $3 for a good bottle of gin.
Yeah. A bottle
now
of gin.
What I have to do is I'm going to have to ask the audience, my next bottle of gin, should it be Beefeater, London Dry, or should it be Bombay Sapphire? Both of them are relatively similar price, so that's not an issue for me. I can go either way. I'd love to get some opinions on that.
I like the sound of Beefeater. You know what you need if you have Beefeater, you need to have some beef sticks while you drink it.
Well, whenever Netter makes me a Bloody Mary, she has started putting a Slim Jim stick in it next to the celery stalk.
Well, oh really?
I'm like, this is, it's almost like a meal. I'm like, that's going to become a meal for me.
I've had Bloody Marys before. I like Bloody Marys. Okay.
They're good.
Yeah. Okay. What did I want to? Leia Plus Size here. Schooner Tuna. Chris P. Joshua V. That all rhymes. Okay. I'm going to read the fun fact tonight on the sample cap. Slugs have four noses. Slugs have four noses.
Okay. They must really enjoy smelling crap down there. I don't know. If you're crawling around on the ground, I don't know how well you want to be able to smell, but okay.
Maybe it's all you got. I don't know. Auditor Dread says, hey, oh, no, that's not what I wanted. Here we go. Never actually had a gin that I can recall. That's because the gin was so good you blacked out. Okay.
Yeah, right. So here's the thing. I understand people are purists. I like gin myself, but vodka drinkers will be quick to point out that all gin is juniper infused vodka. Okay, I know that, but that flavor makes a difference. Okay, so when I have my martini, it has to be gin, not vodka. Vodka to me feels like the cheap substitute, but that's just me,
Okay, that's cool.
There was a mint Snapple and an orange Snapple. I did not know this.
I gotta tell you, orange Snapple. I'm upset I missed out because I like orange flavored drinks. If you're ever in a Carrabba's, I know it's not. Well, I don't know. Maybe it is real Italian. I don't know what you think of Carrabba's, but I've been to Carrabba's. Sometimes they have an orange tea on the menu. Okay. And I got the orange tea once, orange iced tea, and it was to die for. Okay, it was great. I loved it. And it's figure I discover this thing, and then the pandemic happens, and I haven't been in a Carrabba's since.
I've never been, so I can't comment on it.
They do a lot of it's interesting because they do a lot of grilled foods in there. They have Italian classics like lasagna and chicken parmesan, but then they do a lot of grilled, like Mediterranean style Italian, like grilled.
So it sounds like it probably is a little bit more authentic. A lot of people don't realize, depending on where you are in Italy, pasta's really a holiday food that you put on the table to make a meal go farther. But depending on where you're at, you're going to have more fish.
Yeah.
You're going to have, more meats, depending on where you are. So that's just, I remember my grandmother used to love fish. She used to make fish all the time.
So it's like candied yams for us. You don't put out the candied yams with every meal. It's for Thanksgiving. That's
right.
Yeah, okay.
What is that? It's a cheap starch that makes the meal go farther. It's like gach for Klingons.
There you go. Crispy says never much of a Snapple guy. I was an Ocean Spray guy for years until I wasn't. They're big on the cranberry stuff, right? My aunt used to always give me cranberry juice when I was over there. I remember that. Okay. Anyways, shall we talk about the good old days?
Take me back to yesterday. Yeah. What are you thinking about, Aged Boomer?
All right. I think we had mentioned this briefly. We're going to be off the cuff with this tonight, but we were talking about how you and I have our retro hobbies, right?
Yeah.
And I guess you do a lot of buying stuff online. Maybe you do it in yard sales or whatnot too. But like, I guess when you're buying action figures, maybe I'll talk a little bit about my NES game journey because that's been my big retro.
Well, what I've been getting into, and I don't know how retro this is, but getting into the old action figures, buying up, doing my dioramas and getting those figures that I didn't have as a kid. I'm actually getting to the point where you have people online that argue back and forth, just like people like to argue about everything online. It seems we have a lot of people that like to complain and moan and bitch really about whether or not people are buying original toys or bootleg, remanufactured, custom figures.
Yeah.
And
it's the same in the gaming community with
and the I feel that argument goes completely out the window when you have to pay $400, for a loose blue snaggletooth, and it's like, what? For $40, I can get one from Stan Solo that is identical. I could even get it on a custom card if I wanted to, which didn't come on a card.
It's not authentic.
It's not authentic, but it doesn't matter to me because it looks good in my diorama or my play set. And you don't like it, none of your business, do your own thing. I mean, I saw somebody selling on eBay broken pieces of a blue snaggletooth, but it was original and it was for hundreds of dollars. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me.
Well, what if you're trying to reassemble a blue? You might need those pieces, and they're worth hundreds of dollars alone. Just that's how rare blue snaggletooth is. I'm sorry, I'm being devil's advocate.
No. I get what you're saying. Look, I am full. It's your money. If you want to spend it that way, that's perfectly fine. I just don't dig somebody telling me looking down at me for what I'm doing. Their problem is, well, someday you're going to die, and then your relatives are going to take and sell that on eBay, and someone's going to get taken. It's like, you know what? If someone pays hundreds of dollars for something in an eBay auction without saying, I want to see a picture of the copyright on the leg that says Stan Solo 2010 or whatever it is, okay, and doesn't know that's not an original, that's their own fault, okay? Because I see it all the time. I see people trying to sell Stan Solo figures online, and it's like, everybody knows. I want to see a picture of the copyright, because it's not like Stan Solo is making like a real counterfeit that says 1971 Kenner or something like that. It says Stan Solo and the year that it was done. He is not trying to cheat anybody. So if you don't pay attention to that stuff, caveat emptor, my friend. But yeah, I mean that's where I'm at. I'm really enjoying the returning to old toys. And I don't care if it's the 1990 buff Luke Skywalker or the 79 Farm Boy, or a vintage collection one if I can get it cheaply enough. I don't need it to be highly detailed, and they don't all have to be the same style. As long as I've got the figures represented in my little diorama, I'm a happy camper. And Netter does the thing where she goes online for me and sees if she can find a deal, and she goes, does it have to have this, and does it have to have that? And I'll usually be like, what are you talking about? And she'll show me, and I'm like, oh no, that's the wrong figure. Or, oh no, that's fine. Yeah. I don't care if there's some wear on the side or, whatever. So yeah.
So the wear on the side doesn't matter as much to you. Okay.
Sometimes, especially if it's an original figure and you're getting it cheap, sometimes the wear makes it look like, hey, it looks like it might have been the figure I played with for, all these years.
Well, there you go.
It
has character.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Especially with like the stormtroopers. You want the stormtroopers to have some scuff marks on them and whatnot, especially if you're doing a Tatooine, diorama, right?
Yeah, exactly. And do you use real sand in the Tatooine diorama? Or I guess you use the fish sand. Do you buy that in a pet store maybe?
Well, what you do is you go out and you get that the kind of sand that they put in a sandbox.
Yeah.
You spray down whatever surface you're using with glue, and then you sprinkle it on, let it dry, shake it off, and there you go.
Cool.
It's more realistic than the old plastic, Jawa playset that they had. That was just smooth tan plastic. Nothing against that, because those were kind of cool, and I had really special, wonderful memories of those too. But yeah.
Okay.
How about you? What's your big passion as far as
with me currently? It changes every now and then, but it's NES, old NES.
I knew you were
going
to say that. Yeah.
No, it's this was a recent thing. I mean, over the years, I would buy one every now and then. But the trouble with the NES, I have people online. There's a segment of the retro gaming community that's like, retro gaming is the best or whatever. It's better than anything new. And I'm like, they made the old consoles great and they don't break. Well, no, the NES, I'm sorry, that thing breaks. Okay. That when they brought it out over here, they designed it like a VCR. You stick your cartridge in, you press down, and then you turn it on. It was supposed to resemble in some ways a VCR when they brought it out here in North America, because the Atari kind of destroyed the console markets. They were trying to show consumers, or customers, this is different. Okay. Yeah. But I got this rather pricey very fancy NES HD NES you can hook up to an HD TV that this company makes. Okay. And I decided, since I'm getting this thing, I can fulfill my life's ambition and have a full-on NES collection. Because the trouble is, you can get, like, even on modern consoles, you can buy collections of certain series, like the Mega Man games or the Castlevania games. Those are the Wall Chicken games, that.
Yeah.
Okay, and other things, but you can't get everything. Like the old Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles games, those were only released on their consoles. They never got re-released on anything.
Yeah.
Yes, Wall Chicken, yes. don't get me started. I'm just saying, if you're playing that game and you're wasting so much time and getting hit by trying to find the wall chicken, you're doing something wrong. You're just supposed to do
wrong, right?
Okay. Anyway, I want to talk about anyway, but I don't need to buy those cartridges. I have the originals from when I was a kid. Okay, but the thing is, though, you go online and cartridges are in different condition. Okay, now some are cheap and common. You can get some for $10. I think I got the Goonies 2 for $10. Okay. That's the sequel to the Goonies game they made for the NES. Okay. That never made it to North America. So it was weird when we got the Goonies 2 and we're like, was there a sequel to the movie we didn't know about? But anyway, okay. Okay, but basically, you have to check to see if it's originals. For instance, if it's a rare game, like one of these games that goes for like $200, $300 and someone's selling it for like $30 and it's being sold from Hong Kong.
Yeah.
Watch out. Okay. Because that's not an original. It's a bootleg. And people will complain about the bootleg, saying that they're made out of bad materials that could short out your console. They won't work right because it's all circuits and stuff. And maybe they didn't make it right. Okay. I don't know.
Have you ever gotten one of those?
I've never gotten a bootleg because I know what to look for. I've been lucky as far as that goes. I have gotten a couple of reprints, okay, where an actual professional company will go to the people that own the original game and say, hey, do you mind if we re-release this game, now? And they said, okay, you pay the rights to us and we'll let you re-release a new NES cartridge. Sort of like how they might make a re-release of an old Star Wars figure, So sometimes this happens. I've done that with Super Nintendo cartridges and other things, but yeah, for the most part, I'm buying originals, and labels come in different shapes. Let's say you want to find a really rare, like a harder to find game, but you can find a cheaper copy, but the label's all torn up. You can buy it and actually buy a replacement label from a company that makes it for like $5, and then you can scrape the old label up with the new one. Now, of course, the outside is not going to be authentic anymore, but the inside is authentic, and that's what matters to me, because it's just a shell, basically. You can even buy replacement shells too if you need to, and buy like stickers to the back. I have a couple cartridges like that. But then you can. But I gotta tell you, I almost don't even want to recommend this hobby to anybody because I have a very sensitive, pricey system, and but it's also very sensitive, right? And if your cartridge ain't clean, the game is not going to play properly. It's going to get like a staticky screen or whatever. So you got to clean these things. Yeah. And there's some of these cartridges I've cleaned over and over and over again, and they're still not right. Most of them work fine now, but there are a few of them that don't work. So, and I started to think the other day that I'm cleaning these cartridges, and I'm spending more time cleaning the cartridges than I'm playing actual video games. And I'm thinking maybe there's something to be said about.
Is it possible that it's just your machine? You need, it needs to be like tuned up or something?
No, because the majority of the cartridges work fine, and sometimes even after you clean them well, then they work fine. It's not the machine. Trust me, I thought about that too. I'm like, okay. I did buy a cleaner for the machine just in case it's a fake cartridge that you put up and down, up and down, up and down.
Sure.
And that's supposed to get any gunk out of there. But it's a brand new state-of-the-art device. The people that make these things, they put a lot of effort into it. But yeah, I don't know. It's one of these weird hobbies. But then you have guys online like in the retro community that will say, "Oh, I'll never play anything emulated," and that sort of thing. It's kind of like with your action figures, right? Where, it has to be authentic. It's not the same because like if you play it on an emulation, the sound is going to be slightly off, or there's going to be lag or something, and all this thing. So you have that in all communities. Yeah.
I mean, and I get that. I do. Unlike with action figures, there's no doubt what you're doing. I mean, you're playing with an emulator, you're playing with an emulator. You don't expect it to be exactly perfectly the same. And I'll tell you, I know what it's like. We were talking the other day about the old Star Wars arcade game. I love that game. But if you were to give me an option to play like kind of an upgraded version of it that had better graphics or something like that, I'd probably enjoy it.
What?
I know it wouldn't be exactly the same, but that was one of the selling features about even when Lucasfilm's games, what was it? X-Wing, the game X-Wing. It was light years ahead of that Star Wars arcade game, but it was still a first person, playing in an X-Wing, and I'm like, this is really, really awesome, you know? So yeah, I could live with that. That would be cool. But yeah, I get you. Look, it's for crying out loud, just let people enjoy what they enjoy. And why do you care what other people do? Really?
You have to enjoy the things the way I enjoy them. Okay. Go ahead.
We really need to get over ourselves and just go, you know what? Let live, for crying out loud.
Yeah. It's
you know, and that's I'm hearing more and more of the YouTubers in quotes on our side saying exactly that. It's like, look, they keep trying to cancel us. We're not trying to cancel anybody. You don't like something or you do like something, go enjoy it, partake, whatever. But leave me the heck alone and let me enjoy or not enjoy what I choose, and quit defaming me just because I don't like the things that you like. And honestly, I see this happening in our community too. I see too many people that are now starting to go, oh, you got to hate everything. And if you don't hate it, you know, you're not a fan, and blah, 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 blah. And there are just so many YouTubers. It's like, I can't follow their videos anymore. It's just going to be another rant about how horrible this newest whatever is.
I think we've been fighting this fight for a long time, and I think it's starting to drag on people.
Yeah,
that's what I think part of it is. I'm also going to say this, that one of my beefs, at least with the Star Wars sequel trilogy, even before I even got involved in this, I'm like, okay, this is kind of schlocky nonsense. I'm not that interested in it. But I was like, my big issue with them was that when they come out, it's like no other movie studio wants to put anything else out in the theater. And one of my big things around the holidays was going to see a movie. Okay, it doesn't have to be a block, it just has to be a good movie. Like Ford versus Ferrari, I was very thankful that kept continuing playing into the holiday season, because like I can actually go out and see something rather than Rise of Skywalker. You know, I just want competition. Okay,
yeah,
and I don't think we're getting as much competition these days, but we'll get into that in a little bit. Yeah.
I was just thinking that too.
Starting to wonder if they're all coordinating with each other now at this point. I just don't know.
But it really is. We have this very tiny minority of people that do like whatever the crap is that they're putting out there. Why are we getting so ridiculously, bent out of shape about it? Okay, why do we have to put out a whole bunch of videos saying, this movie sucks, and if you like it, you're a doo-doo head? For the 12 people that went to see it or streamed it or whatever, really?
I don't know. I mean, to be fair, I've probably been guilty of that before too, though. With Venom. Venom was the one I rag on a lot. And I know there are people that love it. I think it's a camp thing for some people.
I was just going to say, there was actually people that loved it. A Spider-Man movie without Spider-Man makes no sense to me.
Bret Easton Ellis, a guy I respect, but he's a writer and also he likes movies, but he liked Venom. Of course, he tends not to like the cinematic universe stuff or superhero stuff, but he liked Venom for some reason. I don't know. So I don't know. But yeah. But so your action figure collecting, though, you'll keep us abreast of what's going on with that in the future?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Cool. Although I'm kind of holding my breath right now because I see some things on the horizon that I don't know where things are going right now. A couple weeks ago, we were talking about how the Cardoon figures all seem to have gotten canceled, and now that's starting to look like it's been turned around, and some of those figures are still going to come out, and I don't know. I'll let you know when I know for sure.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
I'm hoping what it isn't is a recast, but you never know what's going to happen. Okay.
Don't know. I'll tell you what, though. That's a perfect example. If I can't get a Cardoon figure, from Hasbro, there are plenty of people that are doing, custom, resin figures. I'll spend money for a boutique figure from people. Just so I can say, screw y'all. I got it, and you didn't get my money because, you decided to be assholes. So whatever.
Okay. Should we go to our first topic?
Sure.
Okay.
What's on the docket?
Sesame Street. You like Sesame Street?
I saw this and I laughed. I used to love it. I loved it when you could watch it on PBS for free. Now it's behind a paywall.
Well, yes, but these new shorts will not be behind a paywall. They're for free for now.
Yeah.
Okay, here's the big headline. I think Trooper FN sent this to me. Okay. And I was like, okay, top of the show. Sesame Street introduces 2 new black Muppets to teach about race. Okay.
Yeah.
Let me go ahead and post the link to that. Someone was saying that there was a black Muppet on previously, though. And I'm finding all this kind of weird because I never saw the Muppets as having a race myself.
Well, that's it. I mean, how many people do you know are orange and blue?
I don't.
For crying out loud.
And green and okay.
Right? Well, I mean, okay, yeah. You expect a frog to be green, but they had green people, right? They had blue people. The whole point was that these people are, these Muppets are, not race specific.
Okay. But anyway, I mean, the human cast on the show was always very diverse.
Very diverse. But you had Latin, you had black, you had white, you had Jewish, you had everything.
It's like a city because it took place in a city, and you get a lot of different places of people living in that. I mean, I grew up in the Northeast. I know this, but all right. Sesame Street has introduced new Muppets to teach children about topics like autism, HIV, and homelessness. Now the show's 2 newest characters, 5-year-old Wes and his father Elijah, will offer a lesson on race. Sesame Workshop, the nonprofit behind the iconic children's show, announced this week. The show launched several new ABCs of racial literacy resources to teach parents and children about race and racism. In one video, Elmo wants to know why his friend Wes's skin is brown. Wes's dad, Elijah, explains melanin. Color of our skin is important to who we are, but we should all know that it's okay that we all look different in so many ways, Elijah says. The color of our skin is important to who we are, but we should all know that it's okay that we all look different in so many ways, Elijah says. The characters also sing a song called Giant, which is a big celebration of pride, self-esteem, cultural diversity, and big dreams for children's future, Sesame Workshop says. This is just one new learning resource that is part of Sesame Workshop's Coming Together initiative, which is the nonprofit's commitment to racial justice. I did watch the short. I'll say this: it was nice having a positive relationship between a father and son.
Good point.
Okay,
Good point.
So I mean that was nice. I don't know about all this though, but I mean, like I'm not arguing with anything they were showing in that short. You know, I mean, yes, melanin. It's good to explain that to kids. Okay. I don't know though. I went on to look from the site though, but they were giving different things on racial literacy. They were also talking about colorism, which I had to look up what that meant too. But
this is again, I mean, ever since Sesame Street started, they were focused on diversity and that kind of thing, and how, you know, you got to look past the differences in people, and it was always there. Okay. Mm-hmm. If you're now making a Muppet to represent that, you're kind of missing the whole point of the Muppets.
Yeah.
Okay. Because Gordon and Susan and Maria and Luis and whomever else, they were always there to talk about racial issues. Okay.
Yeah.
The Muppets were usually the people they talked to, you know? So I think, again, yeah, they're really missing. But then again, this is what happens when you take it out of the hands of the PBS and put it on HBO.
I don't know what's going on with this. Yeah. And I did copy some stuff from this. Like racial literacy is the knowledge, skills, and awareness needed to talk thoughtfully about race and racism. This naturally includes having a rich vocabulary, including terms such as race, racism, prejudice, ally, upstander, and so on. The ability to identify racism when it happens, having strategies to counter and cope with racism, understanding the role racism plays in society. See, now that initial short I had no problem with. I mean, this is stuff I heard growing up too, okay? But I just worry later on it's going to get into maybe some sketchy territory.
I was just going to say, here's the problem. What they used to talk about with racism and what they're talking about with racism now are two very different things. Now racism is all white people are racist and the deck is stacked against everyone else, and
Well, I hope they don't
systemic
go there.
racism and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, and that's my worry, that they'll lead into something like that.
Yep.
Okay.
It'll happen eventually if it just
like
will.
This is the gateway, because right now I have nothing against the conversation with Elmo.
This is what they're teaching
like
us.
Yeah.
That's what they're teaching in our schools now. So you better darn well believe it's what they're going to be talking about on Sesame Street.
Not in Florida, but in other states they're doing it. Yeah. So we'll keep an eye on this. Like I say, I'm trying. I keep feeling that Sesame Street has covered this before, though. I mean, I was a kid. We were all taught these things.
I am
judging.
I am very much in favor of the positive message about racism is wrong.
Yes.
You don't judge people on the color of their skin, or any other differences, really. To be honest with you, you judge a person by their character. But herein lies the rub. Okay. These same people don't want you to judge people on their character. They say you're not supposed to judge them by color, but you're supposed to give them preferential treatment because of their color.
Yeah.
See, so that might be a little bit advanced to try getting into in Sesame Street, but it's true.
Yeah, I don't know if they're teaching us how to be the right kind of minority. I've heard that expression before used by behind the scenes with certain anchors about when they have people on, and it's like, you better give us the opinions that you're supposed to have for your ethnic group. Yeah,
absolutely.
So I don't know. We'll keep an eye on this. Like I said, I'm all for this positive messaging. I'm not trusting these organizations behind this, and this is gonna be a continuing theme tonight. We've got more stuff to cover later on. Okay, but actually, we'll go to the next topic, though. What do you think?
Should
you have anything else to say about the?
No, okay. I don't. Should we hit the Star Wars stuff?
Yes.
Do we go with Papa George, or do we go with Yoda?
We got George next. George Lucas interview about losing control of Star Wars is hidden on YouTube.
Yep.
I couldn't find this thing. I was like, I'll let me copy the link from. Nope. You can't look at it.
Yeah, you can't. I got a hold of a copy of it, and I backed it up. So I might end up doing a video about this and drop a segment of it.
Yeah,
but
cool.
which will just get taken down eventually, I'm sure.
Put it on multiple platforms.
Exactly. But what it basically was is George Lucas was doing a commentary. He was doing an interview. He and his wife were being interviewed by a school, I think, because it was like a 16-year-old kid who was asking him a question, and it was a question about diversity in Star Wars. And out of context, it sounds very, here we go again. But you got to keep it in the context of that's what this interview was about. It was about some sort of diversity day or something like that,
Right. Okay. So that it was in late.
This is what it was about. So it's not like it was, any kind of agenda-driven kind of thing. But what was really key was Lucas is like, because the kid had asked something to the effect of, where do you see things going as far as this, and he's like, I gotta tell you, I've completely lost control of Star Wars, and it's not my thing. I can only speak to the first 6 movies. Those were mine. And he points out what everybody that is a real fan of Star Wars has been saying. The color of skin was never an issue in Star Wars, right? People tend to forget, Lando Calrissian in Empire Strikes Back. Hello, what have we here?
Yes.
You don't see Leia go, ooh, he's a black guy. She goes, oh, not that I trust him, but he's kind of intriguing and he's charming, and
he was suave.
Yeah,
which Han wasn't actually.
People, yeah, that's right. Because
they're both gangsters. They're both
smugglers,
gangsters.
but
That's not the word.
He was still scruffy, and Lando had become the equivalent of a mayor, right? He'd gone legit.
What I thought was interesting about Lando in that movie was that basically you find those movies, you find everything you need to know about the guy very briefly. He was a guy who was once like Han, but he ended up winning the Cloud City, and he said, well, geez, I have this thing, but I'm responsible for everybody here, so I better actually grow up a little bit and actually start taking care of them. So,
And that's what's admirable about him, right?
Yeah.
Because he's like, every decision he's making, it's partly about his own income, but he's like, all these people depend on me. And what does he do when things go south? He tells everyone, get the hell out of here. He could have just buggered off himself, but no, he said, everybody make a break for it. And then you see a guy running through the halls with an ice cream maker. But that's beside the point. By the way, that's one of those action figures that's really hard to get if you want to get a repro of it. Yeah.
Okay.
But anyway, yeah. So Lando Calrissian, perfect example, right? If anything, a lot of people, Tom on Midnight's Edge pointed this out. He's like, the real thing that people could have talked about and didn't was back in 81 or whatever, a black guy hitting on a white girl could have been seen as an issue, but nobody really made a big to-do out of it.
Nope.
But back then, yeah, that still was kind of a little touchy,
Yeah. Oh, Wolf Tamini has a comment. Him being black wasn't enough for them. They inserted orientation on him to make him "quote unquote" interesting. Oh, yeah. You're talking about the Solo stuff.
Yeah, and the whole pansexual thing, and that's now official because they put it up on their webpage.
Oh man,
yeah.
I have to tell you, the droid thing. It wasn't a droid like Rami from Andromeda. Okay, it actually looked. She actually looked like a more boxier version of C-3PO. Except less personable. It was just weird. I don't know why they went there. I thought it was a joke at first, and then then it was a hint that it wasn't. I'm like, oh, okay, interesting. Okay. I don't want to talk about Solo. What were we talking about? Okay.
Yeah, we were talking about Lucas having lost control, and he already covered all of this diversity stuff, and it's just like everything else. These SJWs have to act like they invented, sensibility and ethics and the being on the moral side of things, and it's like no, I'm sorry, you're not Rosa Parks. Get over yourself.
You want me to read the quote that we
please.
have? Okay. I kind of lost control of Star Wars, so it's going in a different path than what I intended. That's the first quote. The other quote is, the first three basically tell you how democracy turned into a dictatorship and you end up with a tyrant, the emperor. It's very important now where we are in our political history. Those are the two things he said.
Yeah.
Okay. That's it.
Yep.
Okay.
The video has been taken down. We have no way of knowing for certain, but remember, it was a school that had reached out to him to interview him, and the school is the one that took it down. We have to believe that somebody asked them to take it down. We don't know who it was.
I think it was someone over at Lucasfilm.
But I would, if I was a betting man, my money would be on the mouse.
Yeah, do you think it's the same person that let Gina go? Maybe it's
probably.
It looks like he probably looks like Slugworth from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, right?
Yeah, exactly. I'll tell you, it's
with the hat and everything. Just shows.
It's yeah, because and it's gotten to the point. It's not even a secret. I mean, Lucas is not on Disney's side at all. I mean, this going back to the whole white slavers comment from way back when.
I remember that. Yes. Well,
nothing has changed. Nothing has changed.
Well, how do they make the t-shirts? Anyway, let's not talk about that. Okay. Star Wars new canon keeps making Yoda even more of a failure. This is High Republic nonsense, right?
Yeah.
I'll read a bit from this.
Go for it. Yeah.
Okay. Jedi Grandmaster Yoda was revealed as a wise and powerful, albeit flawed character in the Star Wars original trilogy. How was he flawed?
Well,
this is some person writing the article. Okay,
they're going to get into that because they've saddled him with the whole what do you call it? The edict against forming attachments. That's all on Yoda, and they're saying that that's what led Anakin to become Vader. So it's all
they're making a point that, as shown in Star Wars: The High Republic, the canon Jedi Order was quite similar to the Legends era New Jedi Order for a time. The Order allowed attachments, though they didn't encourage them. They were almost completely apolitical, and they stressed the importance of individuality, with each Jedi defining the Force and their connection to it differently. Yoda's personal philosophies and definition of the Force gradually became the standard accepted truths of the Jedi Order during his time of Grand Master, leading to the Jedi Order of the prequel trilogy. Yeah. Yoda's Jedi Order was corrupt, complacent, and emotionally unhealthy, which was unfortunately exactly what the Sith needed to enact their revenge on the galaxy. Okay. Wow.
Yeah. And unfortunately, here's the thing, though. Look at where it's coming from. It's coming from the point of view of this ridiculous moral relativism that these people espouse, right? Because everything is okay. It's all your own personal point of view, your own personal truth, right? It's like, no, there is a reality, okay? The Force does not give a flying F how you perceive it. The Force is what it is. There is a reality to it. You don't make up the Force yourself.
They're trying to take another hero character and throw him under the bus. That's what's going on here.
Yes,
okay. Obi-Wan will be next.
Well, I mean,
they're going this route.
From a narrative standpoint, there's something to be said for it, right? I mean, obviously the fall of the Jedi Order, the rise of Darth Vader, there's some blame to be had there, right? There are some things that I would put more the blame on what's his name? Sam Jackson's character.
Mace Windu.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely some points where it's like, yeah, that's not the Jedi way. And yeah, Anakin's calling him out on it. Anakin's not wrong here,
He's too powerful to live.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's not for you to decide, Master. You don't just get to be judge, jury, and executioner. You bring him in and he stands trial. But yeah, so I mean, yes, these arguments can be made. And I think even Yoda and Obi-Wan both go through their, we could have handled this a little bit differently. Even down to Yoda in Return of the Jedi. You're too old to begin the training. That's a cop-out, and you know it. You're just afraid.
I also thought part of that was dismissing Luke was because it's like in the movie, like in Doctor Strange when she bases, I'm going to show you all this neat stuff. You're Mr. There's no supernatural blah, and then she shows them all and then I kick you out. Okay,
yeah,
I think that's what that was. That was part of the training. Like he needed to make sure Luke wanted this.
There
could have been that too. So maybe that wasn't. Maybe that was more like a playful dismissal that Luke takes seriously. Maybe Yoda would have still helped him. I don't know. That's another way to look at it.
I mean, no, and there's certainly room for that. I'm not going to say you're wrong.
Yeah.
I do feel like since he had to argue a little bit with Obi-Wan about it, I don't think Obi-Wan was in on that. So, I don't know. It could go either way. But the point is, nobody is saying Yoda's perfect. But you're right. By continuing to pile more and more and more on Yoda, like he was the only Jedi in the frickin' council. It's like, it's just another example of them trying to deconstruct the heroes.
He's too dangerous to be left alive. Okay. I don't remember the exact quote.
Yeah.
I've seen Revenge of the Sith not as many times as the original trilogy because anyway, we won't get into that here. Prequels are, I know people love the prequels. See, that's another thing too. We're talking about things earlier. Remember back in the day, people hated on the prequels.
Yep.
George Lucas ruined my childhood, and they didn't use the word ruin in that song, if you know what I mean. Okay. And people were screaming about that.
Yeah.
And, other people loved the prequels and said they were good in their own right. So
I was going to say, I didn't like them as much as the originals, but I didn't hate them.
Yeah.
I felt, if anything, I was like, the dialogue was terrible. I understood what he was trying to do, but I didn't feel like he did it very well. I really didn't have a problem with Jar Jar. Jar Jar was whatever, But then again, I was also one that didn't have a big problem with the Ewoks either, So I mean,
my dad made the joke about like when with the Gungans are meeting up with Queen. Why don't you make peace with the Gungans? And like and my dad wanted a comment from what is it Queen Amidala where she goes, the Gungans are our food. Anyway. No, of course not. But I'm just saying that.
That's
anyway.
yeah. That's
okay,
funny.
but George Lucas, I don't know. People argue that the people are yelling at people who were picking on him all the years during the prequel era because they said you bullied this guy and he left and sold the stuff. Okay, and you're responsible for this. And one thing, so now we have people blaming each other. We're going to start running into this soon too, where I'm already seeing cracks forming in some of these some of our the larger community of now.
Agreed.
People are going to start attacking each other, and I'm going to bring up something that will probably be happening when we get to the Warner Brothers segment. Remind me about something I think is going to happen.
No, I agree with you. I know.
Over.
Yep.
But Jar Jar is the key to all this, George Lucas. I guess so.
I swear, I wish somebody, but you know, we're not going to get anything like a good story out of Lucasfilm. But someone needs to pick up and run with that whole Darth Jar Jar thing, because that would actually make it all worthwhile. Yeah. I love that idea of him actually being like Darth Plagueis, you know, and he has been pulling the strings all this time, and he was playing the drunken master, you know.
Oh, that's funny. Do you remember on Angel? Remember the show Angel, the Buffy spinoff?
Yep.
There was a wonderful scene on there where there was this one demon that Angel would deal with sometimes, and like he had to get beaten up for Angel to get something from him. And then later on, you find out no, this demon that was friendly with Angel helped out. No, he was bad all along, just working for a different group, different bad guy. And he was saying, "I got so angry having to take a beating for you to get that thing." Like, and he basically starts wailing on everyone in the agency.
Yeah,
and that's sort of what that reminds me of. But anyway. Leia Plus Size says, Troy Pacelli, I feel the same way about the prequels. I did not love them, but did not think they were the worst things I saw. Yeah.
No, I know. I mean, it's, you know, I mean, it was okay. I just, I feel like if George Lucas changed, you know, if he really was planning something with Jar Jar and then dropped it because of fan pressure, then shame on him. You know, you as an artist need to stick to your guns, do what you're going to do, and prove the critics wrong, you know, or take your lumps when they're proven right. Either way, you know, have the conviction and do the thing. If he crumbled and then said in you know, defeat, I'm just going to sell to Disney, well, I'm sorry then. You don't have a right to make comments about white slavers and how you lost control over it. You gave away control of it. You sold your children to white slavers.
He also put the worst person in charge he could have thought of. Yeah. I'm actually starting to wonder if some of this is personal. I don't know. Probably not. It probably is ideological, but man.
No, there's probably some of that.
Every hero is being thrown under the bus. I mean, Yoda, now it's Yoda. What does anybody have against Yoda? This is now.
Do you see the parallel between what's happening in Lucasfilm with the stories right now and what's happening in the real world with George Lucas?
Yeah.
I say it is personal.
George, I'm sorry. We have a cease and desist letter. You are actually not allowed to talk about Star Wars anymore. You don't own it. You're not allowed to talk about it. Like, I don't know. Like, I had a joke. Like, remember the Admiral Akbar actor?
Yeah.
And he did the It's a Wrap, and he was at some committee. He was saying, you know, oh, I should have been the one they put Holdo in charge of. Right? I should have been the one. And he's all upset, and you know what I was expecting? Like, he'll show up to conventions in the Admiral Akbar mask, and I'm expecting to be like, remember the old Lone Ranger? How he showed up to like car opening places with the Lone Ranger mask on, and they, sorry, sir, someone from the studio says you can't do it. Like, they're not going to give him work anymore. But he can't even earn a living showing up with the mask.
I was literally just talking about that on Matthew Flynn's show this morning. How he would show up in costume, and they said you can't do that anymore. So then what he started doing is showing up in basically the costume, basically the the cowboy outfit, and instead of a mask, he wore big dark glasses. He's like, F you, I'm still showing up.
Well, I'm glad they did that, but I'm expecting like the Admiral Akbar actor. He can't wear the mask, the Admiral Akbar mask anymore at conventions. We have a
Well, I
cease and
mean,
desist. I don't know. I'm joking, but
no,
that's
because most of these actors don't do anything in costume anyway.
I know, but that was the joke I had
But yeah.
because basically I can imagine they were getting annoyed with him speaking out against Last Jedi like that.
Actually, what I'd love to see is him at he's passed now, but I'd love to see him at a convention. You know, what do you think about the new Star Wars films? It's all crap.
There. Okay.
Yeah.
Speaking of Disney, Disney shifts Black Widow and Cruella to day and date release in theaters and Disney Plus, jarring summer box office. Do you think?
Oh, this is brilliant. I mean, Black Widow, everybody's been waiting on for so long, and they're gonna, put it out on their streaming service because it worked so well for Mulan and for every other thing that they've put out. It should work out just great for Black Widow.
This one I'm curious about because I would imagine that this would be a good test to see if people really are interested in this format, because at least at one point this was an anticipated movie. I don't know how anticipated people were for Mulan, especially, and even Raya the Last Dragon. I kept seeing that advertised, not even realizing it was a Disney. Anyway though. But
honestly, I don't think anybody cares anymore about Marvel Studios. I have not heard crap about the Winter Soldier and the Falcon, and I think after WandaVision, people just checked out and said, "Screw it, done."
That's funny. I was listening to one of the Midnight's Edges recently, and they were saying how the ratings for WandaVision started to sink right after the Gino Carano firing, and I don't know if that probably a correlation there. And they said it didn't deserve at that point. They said at the last couple episodes it probably deserved that drop off. They said, but maybe in the beginning it didn't.
I think that it was a 1-2 punch. They fired Gina Carano, and then people were getting sick of waiting for something to happen with WandaVision. And when they finally got to the end, they're like, really? That's it? You stretched it out all this time for this? And they're like, I'm done. and so many people have canceled Disney Plus that, and then there's all the stuff being taken off the children's streaming platform because it's problematic, and the parents are going, this is why I got this thing in the freaking first place. So Disney's just shooting themselves in the foot left and right. I don't know what they're thinking. Nobody gives a flying F about Cruella. That's for darn sure.
No, this is their whole thing. They like to make movies out of the villains now. I guess that's the thing. I'm expecting Hook next, right?
Yeah.
But
yeah, it's what Trooper said is absolutely true. This is again another FU to the theaters. And I'm telling you, Hollywood cannot afford to keep doing this to the theaters. As long as they keep effing around this way and thinking that they're going to make money on their streaming services, they're never going to. You are never going to get billion-dollar blockbusters again without the theaters. So you may as well just quit making movies, because you are literally flushing your whole industry down the toilet this way.
Yeah, I don't know why they're doing this. And apparently Regal had worked out a deal with Warner Brothers, and I don't know if that was similar to the Universal deal, where like they get it 45 days later, or if it was some period. And then now, I don't know. Oh yeah, for the following year. Yeah, this year they were going to do that, but like the following year they were going to go back to normal. Now Disney is doing this now. Okay.
Yeah.
So I don't know. This is just, I don't know. I wonder what Disney is thinking right now. I mean, Disney, I thought, were the holdouts because they actually do need this stuff to. They were actually they relied a lot on the theatrical Marvel. Would the MCU ever have been a thing without movie theaters? I don't think so. The big thing is you go to the latest Marvel movie,
because it always comes back to what I said before. There's the money in, money out issue of it. If you're going to spend millions of dollars going into it, you need to make $1 billion coming out.
Yeah.
And if you're barely going to break even, remember, if you're looking for streaming service dollars, there's a finite number that you're going to get for monthly subscriptions. And people are not going to spend the money that they spend on a monthly service and then pay extra for your crappy film.
It would make more sense for them to just make it available either to buy on Disney Plus or available to buy on Vudu or iTunes or to rent, I guess. Because then at least you're not having to pay Disney Plus on top of that. So you could, whatever service you're using, you can still rent the movie, right? Wouldn't that make more sense than this even? I don't know.
I don't know.
Let me read you a quote. Today's announcements reflects our focus on providing consumer choice and serving the evolving preferences of audiences by leveraging a flexible distribution strategy in a dynamic marketplace that is beginning to recover from the global pandemic. We will continue to employ the best options to deliver the Walt Disney Company's unparalleled storytelling to fans and families around the world, said Kareem Daniel, Chairman, Disney Media and Entertainment Distribution, in a statement. That sounded like word salad to me, but I don't know.
Yeah. Let me translate. We're going to say whatever sounds good to put a positive spin on this, but really we're doing what we think is best for us. Screw everyone else.
Oh, look at this. Here's all the theatrical dates with changes. Okay. Black Widow, July 9th from May 7th. Okay. Free Guy on August 13th. What is Free Guy?
I have never heard of it. I have no idea.
Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings on September 3rd.
That's a Marvel thing, yeah, that nobody cares about.
Okay, The King's Man on December 22nd. That's a Fox holdover. They still have some Fox holders.
Is that related to The Kingsman?
Yeah, this was The King's Man was like a prequel when The Kingsman was starting out. Okay.
Oh.
So
well, I hated the second movie, so
you hated the second one, huh?
Okay, I didn't hate it. Maybe.
No. Here's the thing. You can hate something and I can like it. Okay.
Well, no. It's fair for you to call me on it because I overstated it. I didn't care for it as much as the first one.
What I liked about the second one was that the villain was based on, I swear, the villain must have been based on Martha Stewart. Right?
A little bit.
Am I wrong? Okay.
No, you're not wrong.
That's who he does the villains. I think in the first one it was Russell Simmons was the villain. Okay. It's weird because you wouldn't expect them to be Bond-style villains. Okay, Deep Water on January 14th. I don't know what that is. Death on the Nile. Oh, that was the next Hercule Poirot movie. Remember they did the Murder on the Orient Express a few years back?
Oh, was it good?
It was all right. It had Johnny Depp in it, playing a creepy guy who gets murdered, and I'm not going to tell you what else. Have you ever seen Murder on the Orient Express?
The original, yeah. Well, yeah, I didn't see the movie. I read the book.
Well, la-di-da, Mr. Fancy Pants. I'm kidding.
No, I'm just saying. I know the story.
No, it's fine. It's fine. It was a good adaptation. It had Kenneth Branagh as a Hercule Poirot.
I wasn't trying to be a smart ass.
I'm messing with you. Everyone should read the books. That's my point. Okay.
Oh yeah,
it's me being, it's like when Homer Simpson on The Simpsons goes to Moses. I gotta go out to the garage, and he goes, "Oh, the garage. Oh, la-di-da, Mr. Fancy Pants. What do you call it? The car hole." And no, I'm messing with you. It's good to read books. I actually got the audio version of it, and then they were none out from the library years ago when I was on the job and I was listening to it, and the tape crapped down on me right before the end.
Oh,
I need to reread it now. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyways, I like the Agatha Christie, but that's a 20th Century Fox movie, so it's probably be good. But that's, I think El Gadot's going to be in it too. But anyway, okay, so that's Disney. So are all you in a depressed mood now?
Yeah.
Well, because now we get you fired up with Warner Brothers news. This is the big stuff.
I probably didn't put these in the best of order. I think
it's fine. You were probably having a fever dream. Okay.
Probably. I think we probably should have gone with that second one first. The one about Ann Sarnoff. That's probably where we should start.
Well, all right. We'll go there first. I better not forget to do the other article.
No, don't worry.
I got my own. WarnerMedia boss Ann Sarnoff condemns toxic Snyder Cut fans, forgets WarnerMedia promotes defunding. Okay, defunding the police and any fan. This is a Bounding the Comics article. We're very balanced here. We have Bounding in the Comics for one perspective and CBR for the other.
Yeah, yeah, we do. I mean, we do try to, but ironically, both sides are pointing to the fact that WarnerMedia is crapping on, in quotes, toxic fans.
Anyway.
I'm telling you, let me start out with, as soon as you start talking about
quotes,
the people giving you money as being toxic, F you, company.
Oh, it'll get better tonight. Anyway, I want to read from this, though, okay? In an interview with Variety, so this is all taken from Variety, okay? Discussing Zack Snyder's Justice League and the future of DC films, Variety's Brett Lang asked, "There's also been a toxic side to the fandom, with reports that critics and some of your executives have received threats for not endorsing the Snyder Cut or for being perceived as standing in the way of its release. What's your reaction to that behavior?" Sarnoff responded, stating, "We're not tolerating any of that. That behavior is reprehensible no matter what franchise you're talking about or what business you're talking about. It's completely unacceptable." She continued, "I'm very disappointed in the fans that have chosen to go to that negative place with regard to DC, with regard to some of our executives. It's just disappointing because we want this to be a safe place to be." The WarnerMedia CEO went on, "We want DC to be a fandom that feels safe and inclusive. We want people to be able to speak up for the things they love, but we don't want it to be a culture of canceling things that any small faction isn't happy with." Sarnoff concluded, "We're not about that. We are about positivity and celebration."
This goes back to, again, what I've always said. First, I want to see the receipts. What kind of threats have you been getting? Because if you're getting actual like death threats, then you need to be calling in the police and arresting some people, because that's illegal. Okay. If what you mean by threat is, if you don't give us what we want, you're not going to get my money, that's how freaking business works, you dumbass.
Well, anyways, notice how the reporter fed her that question too, because the journalist is on the side as far as the toxic fans go. This goes back. This was many, many years ago. This is when all this crap started with the journalists. It started with gaming journalism. And Mass Effect 3, I don't know if you heard of the Mass Effect series. It was an RPG science fiction series.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
And they came out with part 3. And all the fans hated the ending. They were screaming about the ending because the ending was basically half-assed. Okay, pardon the expression. Okay,
yeah.
And they were yelling about the ending. And then all of a sudden, all the gaming journalists all got up and said, "I think sometimes fans are entitled. Should you really be complaining or expecting better? We just accept what you get." And they started on this thing about entitled fans. Okay, and this I think is kind of carried over, that if you complain about something being bad, you're entitled. I grew up in the 80s, and I've actually been watching a lot of old Siskel and Eberts from the 80s. It's funny, I watched one that had 16 candles and like Breaking 2 Electric Boogaloo on it. I'm watching all these old reviews. They would criticize movies all the time. No one called them toxic, okay?
Right.
Maybe behind closed doors, but it wasn't considered odd to criticize something for being bad, okay? You can be critical of something, okay? Mm-hmm. And I'm really thinking this is about something else. And I'm going to read you what my little quote down here is with my own notes. Made a point that Ann Sarnoff is reminding me of Kathleen Kennedy. And, we've been talking about for a while, like these rumors of the Civil War over at Lucasfilm. And now it's looking like there's a war going on between WarnerMedia and AT&T.
Yeah.
Okay. They seem to be at cross purposes. And I think what we're seeing too, what we're calling like a civil war or things, I think what we're seeing though is a fight between power players in Hollywood that want to create product that makes money. So like Zack Snyder wants to create a product that makes money. Now we may not like his vision or like his movies, but I think that's primarily what they're for. Jon Favreau with The Mandalorian was trying to create something that will, be popular and make money. Okay.
Right.
And that might be all it is. Okay. And I think we have another group of people in Hollywood that want to use this media to push their values and beliefs, their woke values and belief. And, and it's like we have like The Mandalorian versus the High Republic right now. We have Snyder Cut versus J.J. Abrams Superman project, stuff like that. Okay.
Yeah.
And I wanted, go ahead.
And what it really boils down to is you just want to take these people that are talking about toxic fans and entitled and stuff and just grab them by the lapels and tap them on top of the head and say, hello, McFly. What do you think you're in the business of? What do you think business is? Yes, the person who pays the money is entitled to something, you dumbass.
So basically, they're calling Snyder fans, though, toxic. Okay, that's the big crux of all this, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I have a quote from Zack Snyder. Okay, and we were talking about him last week on the show. Remember? And this is not an article. Something I did find this though because it kind of follows. In an interview for Sean O'Connell's book, Release the Snyder Cut, the crazy story behind the fight that saved Zack Snyder's Justice League, Snyder spoke out against the idea of the Snyder Cut fandom being inherently toxic. In regards to the toxic fandom, or it's a win for toxic fandom, again, in what world does this toxic fandom raise hundreds of thousands of dollars for something prevention,
for self-deletion,
self-deletion prevention? Okay, Snyder asks, how is that toxic fandom? They probably achieved more than any other fan base and done more good than any other group. So I don't understand. Now,
that's the other side of it, right? It's like, you think that you're so morally right. What have you done other than piss people off and call people names? Yeah. Really? Whereas the people that you're scorning are out there raising money for charity. What have you tangibly done? You self-entitled pieces of crap.
Well, I got more to talk about on this. There's a lot to unpack here. This is, and he said, following the film, CB and HBO Max director actually thanked the fans for their overwhelming support, and seeing your messages and your responses to the film has made it all worth it. I'm telling you, even in our own neck of the woods, there's been people calling it. I'm actually starting to think that what we were saying last week about how I think I jumped the gun originally too when we were going, he's just coming on there to pick on geeks. I think he was just delivering a message Warner Brothers told him to deliver about him not being affiliated or something. Yeah. I do not think that he had animus to that group that he was on. Now that I'm thinking,
and people are absolutely falling for it, hook, line, and sinker, and turning on him and turning on everything. And this is what they wanted. They wanted the fans of Zack Snyder to turn on Zack Snyder. They wanted anybody who supported it to turn on each other. They're trying to destroy. Look, this is no different than what is happening in the media today, in the socialist media arena. They're trying to turn us all against each other. It is a power play.
I am wondering, because I thought of a way they can do it, and I'm going to get into that in a little bit, okay? So we have to watch out for this. We have to be very careful, because we've had arguments on our taste in the Snyder. I don't like the Snyder films. I don't really like the DCU.
That's what I said. Don't put me in a situation where I have to defend this guy, but I do.
And I'm not going to say I hate everything about the movies I've seen. There are some parts, like the part in Captain and Shazam where the whole Marvel family gets together and they get the power. Spoiler, I'm sorry, but that's actually a nice little scene, and I wish there had been more of that in that movie. And I'm feeling like Ebert now, where he can, even with a movie he's criticizing, even if it comes down to, he can point out the things he liked and wish they had done more of that. Okay.
Yeah.
But what did I want to mention here, though? I'm going off on a tangent, though. Sorry, Suicide Squad fans. The Ayer cut just got some bad news. Isn't that ironic?
So they're already shutting down. They're like, look, you got your Snyder cut. Don't think you're going to get an Ayer cut.
Yeah, and
because you entitled fans don't get to have what you want.
And I was always curious about the Ayer cut, because for all I know, Suicide Squad might actually be a good movie if we got the proper cut. I don't know.
You know, there's no way to know. I mean, there's always something to be said for, you can't always just blame the director or just blame whomever for any film that comes out. I mean, because even look at, for the most part, we pretty much like the original Superman. Most of us do. But even that, Donner got fired by the Sulkides, and Mankiewicz was put in charge, right? And that's what happened with the second one. The second one was okay, but we also got, the cellophane S and some other weird stuff.
I wonder if is that still in the in the Donner cut? Yeah.
No. Is it in the Donner cut? I don't think so.
I should rewatch the Donner cut of Superman 2. I apparently there's a television cut of Superman 2 that's the Lester version, but it has other scenes that aren't in the Donner cut too. Did you know that?
Yeah. Because the fans had originally taken various television cuts of Superman 2 from around the world, because different countries got different cuts, and they took all of these scenes, put them together, and created their own fan edit of the Donner cut. And Warner Brothers tried to shut it down, and a big segment of fans said, look, we'll take it down, but for crying out loud, we're not trying to steal anything from you. We want this. If you put it out, we will pay for it. And that's how we got the Donner cut.
And that was cool that they did that. Actually, I bought it. In fact, I bought it day and date release on DVD.
Yep, me too.
Because I was curious. I've been curious for years to see the Donner cut, and
they even have a scene in there that was never filmed for the movie, but they used it from the test footage. It was the whole
yes.
What was it? It's Superman. It was the reveal of his Clark Kent Superman thing, and she proves it by shooting him instead of the whole jumping out the window thing. And his whole thing was like, if you had been wrong, you would have just shot Clark Kent. That was his original version. Well, it was just done as test footage. It was never actually filmed, but
screen test,
but they worked with what they had to work with, and I thought it was pretty good.
Good little scene. Yeah, you can catch other scenes, like when they had another woman playing Lois Lane, who was Jack Palance's daughter. I forget what her name was. She was actually the woman that jumps out of the window in the original Omen movie.
Oh, okay, I know who you mean. Exactly.
But, she was also a contender for Lois Lane, but they went with Margot Kidder. Yeah. But and I can kind of see why they went with Margot Kidder, because Margot Kidder was a modern Lois Lane, and the other actress was fine, but she was playing more like a retro Lois Lane, like one that would have been in the 50s.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's probably why they went with Margot Kidder, because she had more of the 70s sensibility about her. But
I'll tell you, Margot Kidder brought, and you could even say this about a lot of aspects of the Donner Superman. They kind of reshaped Superman for the modern era. I mean, you didn't have to go crazy with, New 52 BS to bring something into the modern era. You do a movie, you do it well, people like it, people want there to be, crystals related to the Fortress of Solitude and Krypton technology and stuff like that, and how the Phantom Zone works, and Lois having a struggle with a tobacco addiction and things like that. That's all stuff that came from the Donner films.
Oh, like plus there are parts of the Donner cut I like, so I don't. Yeah, both versions are flawed. I like the fact that Brando is back, though. That's the big highlight for the Donner cut for me. But yeah.
Oh yeah, no, don't be sorry, Leia. I'm not saying it's perfect. I'm saying that it's not even perfect from Donner's point of view. We call it the Donner cut, but I think we're fooling ourselves if we truly believe.
He says on the commentary, or he says, this is as best as I could make it, because unfortunately the director would do things with humor that I wouldn't have done. Okay, right. Which was Richard Lester, and
exactly.
And I have a feeling a lot of the stuff I didn't like about Superman 3, that was Lester's stuff too. And I'm not even necessarily, Lester was an important filmmaker. He directed Hard Day's Night. He's credited as inventing the music video, actually.
If you want a better vision of what Superman 3 should have been, see if you can't find a copy of the DC Comics comic book adaptation of it. It takes out a lot of the goofy, stupid, Richard Pryor jokes, and makes it a much, much, much better movie.
Yeah. And I think that there was a good movie in there, just it didn't come to light.
Well, I think if nothing else, the original idea of Brainiac having being the main villain.
They were supposed to have Brainiac, and then they didn't go with Brainiac. They went with a supercomputer, and I call that Hardak, which was a villain on Batman the Animated Series, which was a supercomputer.
Oh, okay.
So I just call that Hardak, because that was a Batman villain, which was a giant supercomputer that was
I can see that,
creating robot duplicates of all the different people living in Gotham to take over, like Commissioner Gordon or Harvey Bullock. And the funny thing was, they said that the animators got to have a real fun time because you get to just have Batman destroying robots left and right. Have fun, you know? It's like, because he couldn't really kill anyone on the show, but he can destroy robots.
But the whole era of putting out a product that the fans want to actually make money seems to be over with. Over at Warner Brothers, you have the ideologues that want to call all the fans toxic. Everybody that gives them money is toxic and evil and phobes, and it's not made for you, so we don't really want your money. And that's why AT&T came out and said, you're going to get the Snyder Cut because it's a cheap way for us to make some money. Problem is, the Ayers cut would not be as easy to do. But it also does speak to the fact that, I haven't heard anyone else say this.
But he said it would be easy to complete, though. That the Ayer was quoted as saying that, though.
Well, what it comes down to is this is another, and I heard the guys on Midnight's Edge allude to it, but I don't think they said it strongly enough. And I don't hear anyone else talking about this at all. These fans wanting so-and-so's cuts of such and such is a direct accusation at the studios and their ridiculous meddling in these films. Okay, you would have gotten the Snyder Cut if, you could argue if he hadn't had the tragedy in his life. But it's very clear that the studios were getting involved and pushing for something that wasn't what Snyder wanted. Same thing with the Ayers cut. That whole messed up, just garbage fire was nobody's vision. It was Warner Brothers saying, we got to get it lightened up. We got to get more humor in it. The fans want this. The fans want that. Look, the fans want, yes, but they want it to be consistent too. That's like saying, we've heard that people like pizza and they like chocolate and, they like pasta. Let's put them all together in a blender. They should love that. No, that's not how this works. That's not how any of this works. And yet that's how studios think.
Yeah, but yeah. And my comment was about this article. So it doesn't matter if the Snyder Cut is successful. What matters is the new era. And what is this new era? Okay. And I think it's the woke era. Okay.
Yup.
What WarnerMedia calls were they calling it the multiverse over at WarnerMedia, or were they calling it something else?
I don't know.
The other things, because I don't know, because something is smelling right here. And I think I'm getting an idea of what's going on. I'm trying to think if I want to go to Sarnoff's comments. Okay. Hold on, I got to find the other article, but she makes a good quote here. Here we go. Give me one sec. Okay, here I got it. Okay. I found another article here. Justice League Restore the Snyderverse campaign hits over 2 million tweets. This is a recent article. That's probably why you didn't see it. Mm-hmm. And what I thought was interesting about this is a quote that Sarnoff makes. She's the CEO of WarnerMedia. Right. By the way, did you notice that WarnerMedia changed from Warner Brothers to WarnerMedia now?
Sure.
You think that's because Warner Brothers is too patriarchal or something? Or I don't know. I've noticed that, and I keep wondering, is that maybe they're combining the game division with that too? But I'm wondering if that has something to do with.
Well, they're trying to do the same thing that Lucasfilm claims they're trying to do too. They want their films and their books and their games and all of it to be one big, shared universe.
Shared happy universe. Let me read you from this article, okay? This is what I think we're getting to the bottom of things here. However, why Warner Media Studios CEO Ann Sarnoff recently asked fans to be patient post Snyder Cut, even if the studio's plans for the DC EU do not involve Zack Snyder. We're always going to listen to our fans, but we are in the service of the broadest fan base, and we owe them an integrated, holistic strategy, Sarnoff said. We are the shepherds of the franchise, and hopefully when the fans see what we've got in store, they'll know that DC is in good hands across many different platforms with many different creators. We want different voices in the mix. For certain fans that want singular voices, they may be disappointed, but we would ask them to be patient and see what we've got in store, because perhaps the newer voices in the mix will have just as compelling stories to tell. On balance, you of course want to listen to your fans, but we do want to stay true to our vision and our vision for DC and build on that. I have no idea if this came out before or after that Toxic Fans comment, but I know it's recent. What does she go?
Here's what I'm going to say. Here's how I'm hearing it. Okay.
Yeah, I may hear.
This is my take on it. Mm-hmm. We want to give our fans what they want, but if they want something that's other than what we're prepared to give them, that's not going to happen.
True.
That's exactly it. Because if they really did care about the fans, and we're going to give you all these, because they're talking about going forward, not having one thing tied into another, and they're basically going to do the whole shotgun shell and see what sticks, right?
Yeah, maybe
multiverse thing, whatever. If that was the case, then keep making Snyderverse. Obviously, enough people want it that you can keep putting these things out on your streaming service and continue to make money off of it. But heaven forbid that should be your goal. That's not your goal. Your goal is to force feed people what you want to feed them.
And what is the main word she uses here? We are shepherds of the franchise. I've heard shepherd used as another euphemism for something else, and that is priest. Okay. Yeah. And I'm wondering if some people in high positions in Hollywood are now seeing themselves as priests of I don't know, as like
of an ideology,
some new ideology, woke religion, what do you call it, and not as movie makers.
What's ironic is
franchise.
We used to say that. You are the shepherds of our mythology. But the problem is that they don't care about our mythology. They want to proselytize us to their new religion.
I'm wondering, this is reminding me a lot of Kathleen Kennedy. She is reminding me a lot of Kathleen Kennedy, not exactly.
And that's why Kathleen Kennedy isn't a unique, boogeyman in Hollywood. Most of Hollywood is like that. And anybody who's an insider will tell you that. So if you are surprised by this, you haven't been paying enough attention to Hollywood.
Yeah. Exactly. And Trooper FN25 has gone, I'm with Professor Geek on this one. It's dead. Snyderverse is over. I think it is over. They're not continuing it.
But here's the irony here. The reason it's dead is not because of the reasons that Professor Geek doesn't like the Snyderverse and the rest of us. We didn't like it because it wasn't the iconic characters. No. But that's not why it's dead. The reason it's dead is because it also doesn't happen to be what the people in charge of WarnerMedia want to put out there. They want the diversity. They want exactly what we're going to get to with our next article.
They want, they want to program us. But I want to make one point before we get to that. It does lead. I am worried now that the Snyderverse, they're going to bring it to an end. If they needed to weaponize something against people who are now being critical, people like us or Professor Geek who were not too happy with the Snyderverse, if now they can weaponize the Snyder fans and blame us for it,
that's the irony. The people that didn't like the Snyderverse to begin with are the people they wanted to demonize. So now they're going to lump us together with the Snyderbots. Yeah. That's the thing. That's the irony. So
or even play us off each other too. So be careful of that.
Exactly. And that's the problem. So now if you're in the situation where you're saying down with the Snyderverse, thank goodness it's dead. We finally got what we wanted. Well, congratulations. Now you find yourself on the side of WarnerMedia, who is pushing an even worse agenda. Even worse than what the Snyderverse.
I like Horizon Talker's comment, though. That's why so many people who blindly follow franchises now, they need religion in their life. Yeah, you could say the same thing about people that blindly follow political parties. But we won't get political here. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I've noticed that too. But okay, this is a good one. After inking deal with Black Lives Matter co-founder, WarnerMedia inks new deal with Blue Anon conspiracy theorist and Yale professor for more social justice programming.
Yep.
What is? I'm going to tell you something too. I keep seeing articles of this guy's. I've heard of QAnon.
Yep.
I don't even know what that is.
This is the other side
okay.
of it.
I always hear it mentioned. I don't know what that is, and this is like the opposite, I guess.
Yeah, so
like blue state anon or something. I don't know what that means. Okay,
so whereas as QAnon was a bunch of radical, goofy conspiracy theorists on the right, okay, who take the way conspiracy theories work is they take a little bit of real world actual stuff and then blow it into something that it's actually not, which ends up making it all look stupid. Okay. So yeah, I mean, it's one of the big problems with what ended up happening in the last election and all of this is that there was a bunch of these QAnon dingbats out there, pushing things. Some of it had some basis in reality, but they threw a whole bunch of other, woo-woo type stuff into it that makes everybody not take them seriously. Well, the other side of the coin is this loosely organized group of Democratic voters over on the other side that believe all kinds of ridiculous. So basically the people that believe in Russian bots taking over the election and all this, that's Blue Anon. That's what they're talking about.
Yeah.
Because heaven forbid there should actually be people that actually did vote for, Orange Man because they felt he was better than the other option, right?
Yeah,
no. We gotta look for how the Russian bots got involved.
Yeah, I know all this conspiracy stuff. What I wanted to bring up that I try. I mean, everyone leans a certain way, but at least when I go to reporting on the stories, I try to be unbiased on this stream. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But this is interesting. I'm going to read you from this, Troy, and you can let me know if you have any thoughts. Okay, just months after they inked the deal with the radical Black Lives Matter co-founder Patricia Cullors, WarnerMedia, through their Warner Brothers television group, signed a new deal with Yale professor Dr. Philip Atiba Goff for more social justice and woke programming. Now, I did hear about this too. This is not news. This was. I think this happened in the fall too, as reported by the Rap's Ting Bay singer. Dr. Philip Atiba Goff, the co-founder and CEO of the Center for Policing Equity, and his newly formed Justice RX team signed a deal with WarnerMedia to create original content informed by Goff's work, as well as collaborate on the studio's creative roster on projects centered around social justice. Has this guy done any creative work? Was this the guy that did the graphic novel, or am I thinking of somebody else? Okay, because I don't know, because it seems like they're hiring activists, not hiring actual artists.
That's exactly right. That's exactly.
I mean, an artist can also be an activist, but it sounds like they're just going straight to the activists.
They are going to the activists. They are not drawing from any real talent pool. You're absolutely right about that.
Should I read some of these quotes? Okay.
Go for it. I'm going to step away for a minute while you read.
Yeah, I'll read. Yeah. Okay. Warner Brothers Television Group Chairman Channing Dungey announced Goff's deal, stating, Dr. Philip Atiba Goff has been a leading voice of moral clarity on critical issues facing our society, and through his creative partnership, we are honored to have the benefit of his insight, guidance, and counsel here at the studio. Dungey added, we are also extremely excited to collaborate with Dr. Goff and his team to create powerful and compelling programming that will both entertain and inspire. Early on March 17th, Goff would write, the exploitation of vulnerable communities is consistently pathologized in white folks, making white folks into victims and erasing, in this case, the literal body count left in the wake of that exploitation. On March 21st, he wrote, have been learning more about racism in native spaces and wanting to learn much more. White supremacy, like life, always seems to find a way. I wasn't sure what he was referring to this. It goes on. Okay. The tweet is in response to an article from BuzzFeed claiming the Seminole Nation in Oklahoma denied a COVID-19 vaccine to Letta Osborne Sampson because she is a descendant of enslaved black people. The Seminole Nation of Oklahoma denies this claim. They posted on Twitter, Seminole Nation chief released a statement regarding dissemination of COVID-19 vaccines. Seminole Nation issued the following statement. Okay. The United States Indian Health Service is the entity in charge of administering COVID-19 vaccines to the Seminole Nation, and it is the nation's understanding that such vaccine dissemination is being administered entirely consistent with federal law and policy providing such vaccination. Any allegations that the Seminole Nation is denying access of the COVID-19 vaccine to a group of people is entirely false. Okay. And also in February, Goff also wrote, one party is debating whether or not they should be the party of white supremacy. The other is debating how much they should compromise with that party. I desperately need a nap. So this is who they're putting in charge of creative content.
And this tells you exactly where this is going. You think you're not going to get your a whole bunch of preaching of all this kind of BS in your stories. This is what you're going to be getting going forward.
Yeah.
You know. So, and that last piece there, that's just a link if you want to share it. It's a Midnight's Edge video that kind of goes into what I was talking about with the whole.
It's a good video. I'd listen.
It basically gets into this whole, in quotes, civil war between AT&T and Warner Brothers. And
I mean, it seems like this whole thing is a war between the people, the old school people that probably leaned left and whatnot, but they're like, we're here to make good product and make money first.
The difference with this one is that AT&T is the outsider. They bought up Warner Brothers. Okay. They're not Hollywood, just bought Hollywood. And the Hollywood people in Warner Brothers are saying, don't tell us how to do things. And they're like, you now work for us. You need to do what we say, or you lose your job. That's how this works. So it's a little bit of a different kind of a dynamic than over at Disney and Warner Brothers, Disney and Lucasfilm, because you got two different movie companies that are fighting each other. AT&T does not give a flying F, what the Hollywood status quo is. They just want to make money. That's why you got your Snyderverse. That's why you got your Snyder cut, and that's why you'll get whatever you ask for from AT&T.
Like, I liked what they said in the one stream. It's like their intent behind Man of Steel was to create Batman. Okay. Like basically make Superman more like Batman, because they thought that's what the audience would like, because Warner Brothers, for some reason, only the old school Warner Brothers, they only understood Batman and why Batman was successful. They didn't understand any of the other heroes. They were dragging their feet on Wonder Woman forever. Okay. Yeah. They did not think there was an audience for it. But now we're going to get new executives over at Warner Brothers that are now pushing the agenda. Okay.
Now, the sad thing is, though, that it does seem like, you guys put Snyder in charge, and that's fine. And he has his fans. Problem was, and we're finding out more and more that it was the studio folks telling Snyder, we want it to be dark. We want it to be green. We want it to be more like Batman. We want flying Batman. We want woman Batman. We want aquatic Batman. We want runs really, really fast Batman. And he's like, okay, fine. And that's what we ended up getting.
Leia plus size. We are going to get a lot of crappy movies because they are hiring people for their politics, not their talent. Basically, yeah. And I'm going to say this too. I am wondering if the DC superheroes will survive this. Remember a little while back, we did the article about powerful people in the comics industry wanting to buy up the rights to the DC Comics characters. Yep. You can do whatever you want in the movies, just let us keep. I think they're afraid that Superman and Batman are going to fade into oblivion. I think the professor has brought this up too, where like, I don't know if he brought it up, or somebody else did, but it's like each generation gets exposed to these heroes, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, in a different way. Like I got exposed to Christopher Reeve, Superman, Batman, the animated series. My dad had the radio show he grew up. We all get exposed, even going back to classic heroes like Robin Hood. We all get a new Robin Hood. Okay, these characters live on, but they also kind of get reinvented. But if these things are so off the mark, and basically, let's be blunt, so uncool and not well made, the young kids aren't going to be interested in them. They're not going to like Superman. They're not going to go see a Superman movie or a Batman movie. If
Let's face it, it was the Christopher Reeve Superman that got me into the comics, which got me reading, the older Golden Age, the Silver Age. I was still with it then when the John Byrne era came along. I mean, and more than ever, kids have access to, these older versions because of the internet, and they can explore those things.
Yes, I understand what you're saying, but it's like me with the old NES games. Okay, I love the old NES games because for me the NES was like the bomb when it was out. But you go tell a young kid to go out and play Castlevania 3, the wall chicken game on the NES, are they going to want to pick it up?
Not unless they choose to. Telling them it's not going to happen.
That's true.
But if they start seeking it out, because and I saw this happen with Twin Peaks when season 3 came out on Showtime.
Yes,
there was a lot of kids that liked it. That was like, this is weird. This is strange. I want to find out where it all came from, and they had access to the first 2 seasons.
So let's say I have I play a new Castlevania game or something of the like, and I say, wow, this is really cool. I'm a kid. I want to see where this started, and then I go back and play the other game. Or if I like if a new Frankenstein movie comes out, I want to go check out an older Frankenstein movie, to see where this all started. Like if Universal were to properly revive the the Universal monsters like we talk about on Fridays.
Right.
In fact, I got to tell you, I have another beef with Warner Brothers too. I don't mean to go off on a tangent. I like to collect the Blu-rays as well, and I got to tell you, whatever fault Universal had with them trying to reboot the monster universe, at least with the classic films, they are readily available in very nice Blu-ray sets and even affordable. You can also catch them sometimes on TV like Turner Classic Movies. Warner Brothers, I went looking for a movie called the original Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, the Frederick March version from the 30s, because I grew up with that one when I was a kid. Yep. And I used to think that was just like the other Universal movies because it was another horror movie done of that era, like in the Universal style.
Yeah.
Warner Brothers has no interest doing anything with it. It's not on Blu-ray. I think it got like a limited DVD release early on. They don't care. And I was like, I want another replacement movie for that. I can't find that. Mad Love with Peter Lorre. You know Mad Love with Peter Lorre?
Yeah.
Where he plays the weird doctor. I know why you vaguely remember it, because guess what? Another one that's not available. Who owns it? Warner Brothers. Okay. Yep. They are not taking care of these classic films like Universal is. I have to give Universal props, okay? Their classic monster movies, even the lesser known ones like Dracula's Daughter or something, you can still get them on Blu-ray, okay? They put them in sets. Warner Brothers, though, I was just shocked that they're not taking care of some of these older movies, because I figured, I take it for granted, I expect all these things are made available, but they're not, okay? Right. And, anyway, do it. Bring down the what? Bring down the MJOLNIR. Okay, I don't know what that is, but I'll look it up later. Okay, the kitchen sink. I'm telling you though, I'm not happy. But let's get on to some positive news stories. Okay.
Okay.
Unless you have something else to add.
No.
But I'm telling you. But I do think that if you're going to get kids into.
Do you mind if I go ahead and drop that Midnight's Edge link? I don't know if you did.
I just did, but you can drop it again if you'd like. Go ahead. But I'm going to be doing. You're into toy collecting. Well, actually, we're not going to do that one next. We'll do the. This is a quick one. J.R.R. Tolkien's illustrations to appear in Lord of the Rings for the first time. This is kind of neat.
Kind of interesting. Yeah.
You can actually, and there's the link to the Midnight's Edge article. This is from an article. A series of paintings and sketches created by J.R.R. Tolkien while writing The Lord of the Rings will be included in the epic fantasy novel for the first time since its publication in 1954.
Yeah.
That's neat. I don't know. Have you ever tried buying the perfect Lord of the Rings edition and found yourself scratching your head a lot?
I have to admit that the only version of the Lord of the Rings that I got was the box set of the 4 what do you call it? Like the paperback versions of the Hobbit.
Were these the ones from the 90s?
They were the ones that came out with the photography from the movies.
Oh, those versions. Okay. I remember I worked in a bookstore like during the height of Lord of the Rings popularity. I think the 2 Towers had just come out. And I got to tell you, I would have customers come in there and some of them would be fine buying the stuff with the pictures on it. Others, do you have like the non-movie one? Like they get all huffy and puffy. And I'm like, I think we have one edition that doesn't have the,
well, and the fact is, it's not like there's a different version or anything. It's just
the text is the same. They just didn't want
exactly.
the movie
and I literally just wanted well, I got to be honest with you. I was in college at the time. I was going for cheap. I was
Cheapest
just
version.
getting the cheap version, and I mean, I'm a Tolkien fan, but not like a super fan.
Tolkien.
Yeah. See, that's exactly what I mean, right? I don't have to go out and get the leather bound, gold inlaid, as if I was buying, an original Gutenberg Bible or something like that. It's the book, it's the text. I read the story the way he wrote it, and I'm good.
But there are all these fancy editions out there that are also very pricey.
Yeah.
You want your nice, because I got a hardback of The Hobbit, which was the annotated edition, which I really like, and I want a hardback for Lord of the Rings, and they were rather pricey. I finally found one that had like a rubber cover, I think. I think I saw the same copy on a Professor Geek shelf, or maybe he had the hardback version, but it looks similar. And that wasn't a bad version. But this one looks like the version to get because it has Tolkien's. You got me saying it now. I'm sorry. I probably said it Tolkien too. That's how we pronounced it growing up, was Tolkien. And then everybody started telling me Tolkien. And I watched that Tolkien movie about J.R. Tolkien, like his life, right? And there's a scene in it when he's in classroom. J.R.R. Tolkien. He says, "Actually, sir, it's Tolkien." And he says that in the movie, It's
I mean, for crying out loud, I read the books. I didn't have anyone reading the book to me. So all I could read was how it was written on the front cover.
I used to call Hermione Hermione when I read the Harry Potter books before the movie came out.
There you go.
Oh, it's Hermione. Oh, it's Hermione. Never mind. But the point is that this just looks like a neat addition. You get to see Tolkien's original drawings. He's not a bad artist, actually. I mean, for a guy that wasn't really a drawer or an artist,
right.
The paintings look pretty good. And I'd actually like to... I don't know if I'm going to do a double dip, if I'm going to pick this up or not, but it might be something to look into for those of you who are fans of his work, and it's kind of neat. It's good news. It's something nice to talk about.
Cool.
I'm going to say this too: Lord of the Rings will always be timeless. Okay, it doesn't matter how many if they do a crappy remake, because I thought the original trilogy was actually very good, the Peter Jackson one, and I don't care if this Amazon series is going to be bad. Nothing can touch because that's all owned by him. It's all Tolkien. He didn't give it over to anybody else. So, and I don't care what the estate does or whatever owns it now. It's always going to be timeless. It's just going to be annoying if you have other versions out there, but you can still just enjoy it by itself. I'll say that.
Yeah.
I guess I'm different with that than I am with stuff that was more like a collaborative thing, like Superman. I mean, Superman is a collaboration of a lot of artists and writers over the years. So, classic Ghostbusters Ecto 1 and Ghost toy line unveiled by Hasbro.
I do have to say that when I look at Hasbro, I struggle sometimes, and I've had a love-hate relationship with them over Star Wars, but they're doing a great job with Ghostbusters. If they're not re-releasing the old toys, they are releasing old toys that we didn't get back in the day.
Well, I'm interested because I remember these toys. I remember a couple of them from the screens. They have the toilet ghost and the one with the eye popper. Are those different makes on those original toys? Are they not exactly the same?
Yeah, I could do a whole video, but you know what? You'd be better off. Michael French over at Retro Blasting has actually done better videos. I'm not going to cover the same ground. Just to summarize, though, there were two Ghostbusters in the 80s. Okay, there was the Ghostbusters we saw in film, and there was the real Ghostbusters cartoon. And there were some rights issues. There was some stuff behind the scenes without getting too, crazy about it. The differences between the cartoon and what you saw in the movie were a weird rights related thing. And the toys all related to the cartoon series. So you had Egon was blonde with this weird curl, and Ray was like overweight, and Janine had like orange hair in a punky type style, and it was very stylized, and that's how those figures looked, and their costumes looked very different, and the ghosts that you saw were very different style of ghosts than what you saw in the movies. Well, now you have people that are nostalgic for both, right?
I have to admit, I'm nostalgic. I like those Ghostbusters toys because I was a fan of the cartoon, and then I started getting into the toys, and
Rightly
I
so.
I was fine with the ghosts being different because I'm like, well, these are new adventures they're going to go on that weren't on the show. Yeah.
So what Hasbro has done is they had gone through and they had re-released a lot of that old stuff from the real Ghostbusters cartoon figures. But they also turned around and put out some pretty much movie accurate figures in that style of toy too. So you can get a Ray figure that looks like what's his name? Played Elwood. You know who I mean, the actor.
Oh, Dan Aykroyd. Dan Aykroyd.
Yeah, it looks like Dan Aykroyd in the brown overalls, you know, and you can get an Egon that looks like Harold Ramis, you know, and so forth, you know, but it's still in scale with and in the style of those real Ghostbusters figures. So Hasbro's done a really, really good job with that. And now they've put out an Ecto-1, which a lot of people are pretty excited about that are into that. I love the nostalgia of it, but I am not going out and buying these toys.
I probably won't be either, but if they release the ones that came with the slime, I might be tempted. Okay. Oh man, that'll be another topic for another time. The mad scientist kits I grew up on. That might be a good old days topic. I'll explain this another time. But we have one more story. Why a giant RoboCop statue could end up in the middle of Wisconsin. This was an interesting story. Apparently, they made a giant bronze statue of the Peter Weller RoboCop from RoboCop.
Nice.
And it was supposed to be made for Detroit because I think, what is it? Philadelphia has the Rocky statue.
Yes.
And they figured, well, we should have a hero ourselves. Detroit's hero is RoboCop from those movies, right?
Exactly.
And RoboCop, timely movie now, but I'll go into that another time. But it's a really cool, nice bronze statue. But apparently the city's rejecting it now for whatever reason. I don't know why. They didn't get into this in this article, but apparently they're thinking about moving it to the town, Peter Weller's hometown.
Oh, okay.
So that might be kind of neat. What do you think, though? Huh?
Is Peter Weller from Wisconsin?
Hold on, yeah. Potential good news. This is because the statue of the title character recently went up for grabs in the Michigan Science Center, where it was due to. Okay, hold on. I think that's where he was born. Yeah, but now the central Wisconsin hometown of Peter Weller, the actor portrayed RoboCop. Yep, that's his hometown. So, according to Wisconsin Public Radio, Mike Wiesa, mayor of Stephen Point, Wisconsin, is officially making a bid for the statue and has even reached out to the Detroit-based artist who built it in hopes that it could be a local attraction. I wish them all the luck. It's a really neat-looking statue. You can see it in the thumbnail. It's funny. This was the first time I did a thumbnail for the stream this week, and I don't know if it's quite as good as what Troy normally does, but like I had like Cruella and Black Widow with fire behind them in the movie theater exploding in the fire because, like, you know, those are destroying the theaters anyway. Okay. Yeah. But anyway, but the RoboCop statue's on the thumbnail. If you want to take a look at it, it's a nice likeness. And I really hope that since it's got rejected by Detroit, this can find a home because it's
I have to, you know, and maybe this is the black pill in me coming out again, but I suspect that Detroit is probably doing the whole, you know, anti-cop, anti-white, can't have this statue up thing. That's what I figure it probably is.
I hope not. I'm just one thing I liked about the movie RoboCop. It has a very anti-corporate thing in it, which I know for a while was getting passé on side, but now we're learning these corporations aren't on our side, and they weren't on the side of the public or the police in that movie because they're basically, oh my word, they were defunding the police, weren't they?
Yep.
OCP was defunding the police.
Yep.
Making neighborhoods more dangerous and also getting more cops killed. So
maybe that's the whole thing. They just don't want people going back and revisiting that film because it strikes too close to what's going on in the real world.
I'm wondering the cops go on strike and then chaos reigns in the streets, and that'll allow OCP to come in and take over with their robotic police, which is the Ed 209 units, which are horrible. Remember that? And it's
yep.
That's terrifying. You have all kinds of criminals. That you have like the regular street criminals, and then you have the white collar criminals.
I just kind of feel like we live in a world now where instead of these big robots, you have 5 seconds to comply, and even after you comply, they blow your guts out, right? I feel like instead of that technology, what we actually have is socialist media.
Yeah,
there is no complying. You will just be destroyed. That's all there is to it.
Owen Lister says, spit the black pill out. It doesn't help. I agree, but we've all done it. I mean, we all sometimes look at the bad stuff going on, and it gets to be a little too overwhelming sometimes, I think, right?
That's true.
And that can happen. And we usually work our way through it. Like I was working my way through something this weekend, too, because I was in a funk this week, too.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but, I don't want to use cliches like it's always darkest before the dawn. I'm going to say that the fight continues, right? And we'll see what happens. And we will find
never-ending battle, right?
We will find nice oases. Actually, if you want to look for an oasis, we're doing Culture Fortress on Matchstick's channel this week. Troy and I will be there. We're talking about stuff that has not been infected by the woke culture, okay? And Matchstick has a stream coming up afterwards. It's on his channel. It's a Batman Arkham playthrough. Okay.
Yep. In exactly 5 minutes, 10 seconds. I just dropped the link for you. Go over there and watch him do a playthrough of Batman Arkham Asylum.
Before you go, though, I want to bring something up. Though Owen Lister says, I should mention I've become an official member of my church. Feels pretty good. Congratulations, Owen Lister. I also did want to mention that we will not be here next Sunday. Okay. It's Easter Sunday. We are taking the night off. So apologies ahead of time, or maybe not apologize. Maybe hang out. If you can, give a loved one a call, hang out with the family. It's a holiday. Watch the 10 Commandments, maybe.
Eat your lamb cake. Have some pasta aglio, or whatever it is that you eat at Easter.
Yeah, or whatever I'll be having on Easter. Maybe duck. We have ducks sometimes. Boiled eggs. Actually, we have deviled eggs. My mom makes deviled eggs.
There you go.
My mom makes the best deviled eggs. Don't even tell me anyone makes them better than my mom. I'm sorry. She uses like a dry mustard in them, instead of horseradish. It's very nice. I highly recommend it. It's kind of like egg salad, actually, but in like a deviled egg form, actually.
Nice.
But Owen Lister says the Ed 209s were the worst security robotic force ever invented. Okay. All right. And I don't want to get too personal with other people like around the neighborhood, but I know that if I should mention this out, I know Daniel had mentioned in his stream, hopefully Professor Geek and his family are doing fine. You keep them in your thoughts and prayers. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
But okay. But yeah, Owen Lister says on Easter you want Passion of the Christ. I'm my favorite one, I think, is Ben-Hur, though, out of all the religious pictures. I haven't seen the new one, though. Have you seen the new one, the remake with Morgan Freeman? No. Well, you can watch that this with
Easter. Morgan Freeman?
He's in it in a scene, yeah. He's the one I think he's the guy that runs one of the
if he's not actually playing the voice of God, I don't see any point.
No, I think he's one of the guy who runs not the gladiator training, the chariot race. I think he's a chariot racing trainer. Okay. I didn't see it. That was the impression I got. And he trains Ben-Hur or whatever, how to get revenge on Marsala,
Yeah.
Masala, was it? Okay, yeah. So I don't know if he's from the Middle East or something. I don't know. Anyway, I don't know if it's any good or not. But Ben-Hur rewatch on game. We're not doing anything next Sunday, though. We're taking the night off. But there are other things going on this week. Daniel Heron's channel will be doing Leia Plus Size, I believe, will be joining us. I don't know if anybody else will be. We're doing Captain America Winter Soldier rewatch. And Troy has a stream Friday, don't you, Troy?
Yes, I do. We are. I have been neglecting. We've been focusing so much on the monsters of Universal, and we kind of need to do a little bit of focusing on our fixing the DC universe. So we're going to do a rewatch of the pilot episode of Smallville, and talk about that as a cornerstone for how we would have started a shared universe if we were in charge of it.
All right. Sounds good. And I will be on Al's stream on Saturday. I'll be a guest on his stream, I think, for the first time. Daniel and I will be there. We're doing a rewatch of UHF.
Are you sure that's this week or is that next week? Because he just did the last one.
Oh, crap. I don't know. I thought it was this week.
I think Netter has About Last Night on Saturday.
Oh,
so
I'm sorry about that. So it's not this week. Okay,
Yep.
it's the following week. My apologies. Okay,
that's okay.
Never
Either
mind.
way, you know that
misheard.
there's always a rewatch on Saturday, whether it's Netter or Big Al. It's one of those two.
Okay, cool.
So make sure you watch out.
We'll be on there at some point too, in Cool Beans.
And then nothing on Sunday.
No,
I'm taking the day off. Blast it. I need to.
No, we're not doing anything Monday. But I'm sure Sound Engraver or somebody else has something going on. And Green Line Girl is on Wednesday as well, I think.
And Friday, she has a Friday stream too. So
Green Line Girl does. Okay, cool.
She does. Right. It's like right after you get off of work. So if you're on your phone driving home from work, go ahead and listen to her as she does a game playthrough like right after work.
Okay.
So it's early in the evening on Friday.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Well, I will. Okay. Y'all have a good week. Have a happy, blessed Easter. We will see, or whatever holiday you celebrate. I'm sure I don't know if we have any Jewish listeners. I know Passover is going on right now, right?
Exactly.
Or maybe not. It's always off. Like sometimes it's right around Easter, then some other times it's not. But yeah.
And I just one more time, I dropped the link if you guys want to go over and watch Mr. Matchstick playthrough on Arkham Asylum. Okay.
All right. Y'all have a good night. I'll see you in 2 weeks.
Take care.
Good night.